What is up, friends? Welcome back to Healing Within. And this one is our first episode on a new spin with Healing Within. We are inviting in our beautiful friend Liz to co-host this incredible podcast so you get more value, more excitement, and just more of what you need to heal within your own journey. So today we're going to introduce Liz. We have her here. She's looking beautiful. She has a beautiful mic. She's got all the good stuff. And we're going to hear more about her story, touch base back on my story, and really just dive into what healing within truly is going to embody. So to start, I'm going to give you a little intro about me, and then I'm going to hand the mic over to Liz, and you're going to hear all about her. So my name is Jess, for those of you who don't know me, and I am a guide. I'm a mindset mentor for those who are embarking on their journey to find a deeper sense of clarity, purpose, and freedom to express themselves fully. I focus on deep self-love, confidence, pleasure, and communication with others so you can show up without fear and claim what is truly yours. My passion for helping others to achieve their fullest potential has really run deep. It led me to getting certified in NLP, mindfulness and meditation, Reiki, and more. And I work so closely with my clients to help them connect so deeply to their hearts, their minds, and their souls to heal within. Now that's a little brief intro about me. Enough about me. Let's get it over to Liz. Liz, hello. Welcome.
Hello. I'm so excited to be here, guys. I love Jess, and I'm just excited to give value to everyone and just talk about all the good stuff. Like, this is the stuff I like to talk about all day, every day. So I'm excited. Yeah. So I'll do a little brief intro too. So I am a stress and anxiety coach. I'm a dual certified wellness and life coach. I specialize in subconscious reprogramming and energetics. And my goal is to really lead those seeking personal growth and transformation to embody a powerful confidence and to find alignment and purpose and develop self-awareness and emotional intelligence and live a more fulfilling and authentic life. My mentorship helps clients build resilience and trust in themselves and become self-assured and stand strong in their power and their voice. And, with a strong focus on spirituality, they learn to lead with intention while being in touch with their intuition and their higher self. So that's a little brief explanation of what I bring to the table.
We love the higher self connection. You and I both have that overlining of like tap into your higher self, your higher consciousness to get to that depth of your truth, of yourself.
Yeah. I feel like a lot of us don't understand the power that we have inside of ourselves. Like, and we'll dive deep into that. But the moment I found it, I was like, whoa, who the hell is this?
Literally, it felt like this God source of like, whoa, like this energy, like the brightness, the lightness that you feel, you see it, other people see it. And it's like this glow that like we never think that we actually have until we finally get it. And now it's so beautiful when we can like share those little glimpses. And then when our clients start to feel that in their bodies, it's like, oh, fuck, it's happening.
Yeah, right. I'm like, I tell my clients all the time, I'm like, it's revving up. I'm ready. Yes. I can see it building. Like, I am so excited for it to show its face.
Yes. Well, Liz, I'm so curious. You tap into your higher self. You help all of these people. How did you get here? How did you get to be this incredible coach for others?
Oh man, that's a journey there. Well, long story short, and I'm sure throughout this, podcast journey, we'll dive deep into my story, but brief overview. So I grew up just in an environment where strong-willed women, don't get me wrong, but it was toxic because a lot of them never really learned, how to get out of their programming. So we lived in an environment where there was a lot of yelling and a lot of screaming, a lot of fighting. I grew up to think to show my worth and to have people hear me and respect me. They had to be scared of me. And so I led in my life with that energy. I was aggressive. I had very, very thick, high walls. If you were in my circle, you were highly protected by me. But if you weren't, watch out. Like I was a pit bull. And it was because I literally thought that everyone was out to get me. I thought life was out to get me. I literally was stuck in a victim mindset. And so at 17, I actually decided to move out of my house because it just became way too toxic. Had no idea what I was doing. I packed like half of my wardrobe into a suitcase and just dipped. And I lived out of my car for a little bit, in and out of like my sister's house, friends' houses, really whatever I could find. I mean, I was living in straight up survival mode, literally. And I ended up going to college. I found myself at Penn State. Do not ask me how. That's a whole story in itself. Found myself at Penn State. Didn't think I would ever go to college. I was always told growing up that I couldn't because we didn't have the money. Like I was told that that's just not an option. And so when I ended up there, it honestly got worse because I now was exposed to a whole new world that I knew no one. All my safety nets were out the window. And all of a sudden I was like diving deep into a depression and anxiety. And so I actually reached out for help. I went to go see a therapist there, and they diagnosed me with all of these things, right? Like PTSD, dissociation disorder, anxiety, depression, handed me pills, of course, right? Got prescribed Xanax and, Lexapro, that type of stuff at 18. And I ended up using it just as an escape. Like I was waking up in the middle of the night in panic attacks, like couldn't breathe. And so I would take a Xan, go to bed, and then I would wake up and not have any energy. So then I ended up getting introduced to Adderall. So then I would take Adderall, and then I would take Xanax, and then I'd go drink. And it brought me down a really, really, really deep, dark road because that's all low frequency stuff, right? So I was just going deep down into the hole of my problems that were already, there. At one point, it got so dark that I actually tried to commit suicide. And that was I believe that was a little bit of a turning point there, because I realized like, that's not what I want. Something kind of like took over me and I lost control for a split second. And within that split second, I could have lost my life. So I was like, something's got to change here. And that's when I just started going down the road of like, doctors haven't helped me. I've spent thousands of dollars on tests. No one can tell me what's wrong with me. My blood work is quote unquote normal. So what is going on here? There's no way that this is how everyone lives their life. There's no way. And I came out of school, so much debt, $200 to my name, absolutely no idea where to go. I ended up in like the corporate world, was moving really quickly up the ranks, but was completely miserable, like having breakdowns in the bathroom. I was like, I hate my life. Like, what is this? And I just started embarking on like a spiritual journey at that point. You know what did it? I dedicated myself to meditating because, meditation's everywhere. I was like, I need an answer. So I was like, all right, meditation, I'll try it. I downloaded the Calm app, meditated every night for a year. In the middle of that, I had a spiritual awakening. And that's really what started my journey. And that's a whole nother story. But that's kind of how I got there. Yeah.
I had chills this entire time. Like I had myself on mute and I was like, yeah. Like, do I cry? Like, oh my God. And yes, we will dive into that spiritual journey in the next few episodes. I feel like that's going to be such a potent experience for people. But to talk more about your journey, like where you came from, knowing where you are now, you truly reach these bottoms and then these bottoms and then these bottoms. And instead of just staying there and sulking there, you rose up.
Yeah.
And I'm really curious, what was that like feeling of like, I don't want to feel this way anymore, to rise up to get you to the point of meditating every single day at night?
I tell everyone this all the time. You have to get sick of your own shit. You have to. Like, you finally look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, okay, no one's coming. No one is coming. Doctors aren't helping me. I wasn't talking to my mom at the time. My dad lived hours away. He didn't even know majority of what was going on with me. I mean, I had a partner at the time, but he had zero idea what it meant to have anxiety. And I was like, no one is coming. So it's up to you. Like you can either stay here and honestly die here, like at an early age,
Mhm.
or you can get sick of your own shit, start researching. I knew I was smart. I just was like, where are the answers? Because I'm trying to find them and I'm just so frustrated. And I think growing up, I was that like type A. I wanted to do everything myself. I didn't want help. I wanted to prove that like I can do it.
Mhm.
And I think when I looked at myself that one day and was like, no one's coming, you have to do it yourself. But that doesn't mean that you can't get help.
Mhm.
And so I think that was a big turning point too, was when I was finally like, okay, someone can help me. I just need to find the right person. And then when I found my sound healer and I found my holistic practitioner, they changed my life.
Mhm.
And I was like, damn, it's not, I was blaming myself. I
Mhm.
was like, like I'm like this because of me. Like I'm not strong enough. I'm not capable of having a business. This is just what my life is because that's what I've always seen. Like that, I literally believe that that's what life was. And I just got sick of my own shit. I was like, I
Yeah.
can't be here anymore. It can't happen.
Yeah. It sounds like there was like that victim mindset that always creeps in for all of us, where it's like, poor me, but I want to try to prove myself, but poor me. And it's like we try to take steps forward, but then there's that poor me victim pulling
Mhm.
us back, saying, like, no, you can stay here. And when you said, like, I was trying to prove to myself, I literally had that conversation the other day with someone when they were like, I just need to do it for me. It's all on me. I have to prove it. I'm like, who are you trying to prove to? Like, who, yourself? Okay, but like, you don't have to do it alone. Like,
Yeah.
where is that coming from? So it's so important that you called that out, because this is an overlap with so many people that I've heard my own story. Like, the things I'm going to share has such a big overlap
Yeah.
on what you've shared. And I've heard your story before, but this up close and personal really shows me that we have such connection on our story, on our path, in such different ways.
Yeah. We do. We have a lot of overlaps.
Mm, mm. Well, I'll lead this into sharing a little bit of my story
Mhm.
and diving into that. And it's interesting because when I usually tell people the story of, like, why are you a mindset mentor? How did you get to where you are? I usually start like, well, I was a personal trainer and I did this, but like, there's so much more to that. And the reason I became a personal trainer was its whole journey in itself. So to kind of start a little bit where you started, I think that was a beautiful place to start. When I was growing up, I had an amazing family. I feel very, very grateful for the family that I had. Yet I always felt like I was trying to prove myself. I was always trying to feel seen and feel heard. So that allowed me to constantly raise my voice, because I was like, hear me, somebody hear
Mhm.
me. Like, I was the loud, the obnoxious, not because of that was my natural, but I wanted to be heard. So
Yeah.
I was getting as loud as I could. I was screaming, I was throwing temper tantrums. Like, I was just full of a lot of anxiety that I didn't know was anxiety at a younger age. And I noticed that through all of that in my early years growing up, I started to attract a lot of toxic relationships in my high school and college years. High
Yeah.
school, I literally had a partner for 3 years, off again, on again, like 100 times, that pulled me down and made me feel that I was never enough. I was never worthy, that I couldn't really be myself. And that bled into college, where, and this is like a really big thing that stands out to me, when I went to Mizzou my first year of college, and it's a party school. Woo, we're here to like experience life, experience the college world. And I went to college a week early to rush a sorority because that's just what you do.
Yeah.
And there's like 15 sororities there. So I'm there in rush. I was like networking. I was getting like reference letters from like my favorite sororities I wanted to join. And I was going through the process. By day 5, I had like 5 of my favorite sororities there on top of some other ones. And then the next day, I was told, hey, none of those people wanted you. Here's your list of sororities that you can go to today. And I was so pissed. And then I didn't really feel connected to them. And on bid day, I woke up that morning and I had a call at 6 a.m. And someone said to me, and I'm sure I'm skewing this, but this is how I remember it. Hey, Jess, nobody wants you. You didn't get a bid. Spiral.
Yeah.
Spiral. To add on top of you're not enough, you're not deserving, you're not seen, you're not heard. And that kicked off this massive anxiety and depression that I had in college. I first leaned over into working out. I was working out, I'm not kidding, 4 times a day, going to classes over and over and over again. And then once I got burnt out on working out, I was like, why not do what I do best at a drinking school and start drinking? So 6, almost 7 days a week, I was burying myself in alcohol, in food, in sex. I was just trying to find something, trying to find that validation. And there was a moment, it was March of 2014. So the second semester of Mizzou, I was looking at myself in the mirror, noticing that I was like overweight. I had no self-esteem, no self-love. I truly hated myself. And I didn't want to admit that it was depression. And I was like, I have to escape. Where do I go? So I transferred schools, get myself out of that environment. That's going to help me. So I went to a new school, a smaller school, a school that my sister went to. So I felt safe there. And as yes, there were things that got better, there was still that anxiety and that depression that was following me around. And I was still drinking, I was still eating. And it was December 28th of 2014 where I looked myself in the mirror once again, and I broke down in tears and I cried. I was 167 pounds and I hated what I saw back. That was not me. That was not how I wanted to treat my body. So I made a vow to myself. I promised myself, I'm not going to feel this way again. I'm not going to look like this because I deserve better for myself. So I dedicated myself to go to the gym for spring break. Let's get hot, baby. I lost 15 pounds in 3 months. And after spring break happened and everyone usually stops, I was like, no, I'm going to keep going. So I kept going. So I was eating better. I was doing all the things. And I lost 40 pounds. I was looking hot as shit, but I could never really look at myself and see myself for who I truly was. And to flash forward some more, I'm working out, I'm doing all the things, I'm starting to help people move their bodies and get better within their physical appearance. But I recognize not only with my clients, but also with me, there was something going on up in our minds. There was something that wasn't translating. I was still angry. I was still frustrated. I was still raising my voice. I was still seeking some sort of validation, some sort of like, you still have to prove yourself to do something. And there was a moment, it was my senior year of college. I was probably in the best shape of my life at that time. I was still drinking. I was with a partner that I adored, but also didn't feel connected to. And I too had a scare of suicide where I found myself locked out of my house because my partner was drunk. I was drunk. He thought I had a key. I didn't. And I found myself on the roof. We lived on top of this flower shop, and I found myself on top of the roof and looking down at the ground, like, is it time for me to do it? Like, what's the point here anymore? And I got a call from a best friend of mine that saved my life. And that call changed everything. I was like, that's not what I want. I don't need to end it to feel good about myself.
Mm-hmm.
But even with that experience, yes, I didn't want to end it again. However, it took me 3 more years to actually sit down with myself, look myself once fucking again in the mirror and say, Jessica, what's going on? And it was April of 2020 when everything got quiet, but it wasn't quiet in my mind. And I was in this constant, I hate you. You're not good enough. Why are you still doing this to yourself? You're not worthy. Everyone hates you. You hate you. Just this constant narrative going on. And I said, let's change it. What do we have to do? And I found a meditation app. I found Insight Timer.
Okay.
Because Calm and Headspace, I'm someone who boycotts really popular apps. So I said, you know what? Let's give Insight Timer, let's give it a try. Holy shit, changed my world. I'm now a teacher on Insight Timer. And that is where I found affirmations as a meditation. So that's how I started my journey. I started to say, like, I'm having these narratives, these negative thoughts on loop. What if I change that out with affirmations instead?
Mm-hmm.
And that was the catalyst of my spiritual awakening, leading us here.
I love that. When you were saying like the world went quiet and your voices inside didn't, I think that was like, sometimes that is, and I'm sure you guys can relate to this, that is the most overwhelming feeling in the world. Oh my gosh. And like some people don't get it. And like if you don't understand what we're talking about, I'm happy that you don't. Like it's tough. I remember I used to literally disappear for hours and I would just drive and I would dissociate and I would just, everything would go blurry. All I could see was in front of me. And the only voices inside of my head was like, just drive into a tree or like drive off. Like now's the time.
Yeah.
Like it's happening right now. And I like, there's so many people that don't pull themselves out of that. And I think, not saying that the people that don't pull themselves out of that aren't strong as hell, but if you are able to find just a little glimmer of like voice inside their head that's like, no, that is your higher self in there. She's trying to like peek through and be like, hey, I'm here. It's just you have so many, like you have so much smoke right now that like you can't really see me, but I'm here. And I mean, I'm sure anyone who's gone through this experience, like you have a why behind it, whether it's yourself, your kids, your partner, your parents, your anything in your life, right? Like finding something that is the reason why you're here is going to be what helps you get through that smoke too. That's what helped me too, was like, okay, why am I here right now? And for me, it was for myself because I didn't have children. I wasn't very close with my family. But I had a lot of friends committing suicide around me and seeing how that impacted other people. And I already knew, because I know these people at the core, I knew that's not what they wanted. I remember I had a friend who was 16. I was in college and he was younger. He was 16 and he just had a child. And I was best friends with his older brother. And his older brother found him. It's like the dark, deep times feel like they're impossible to get out of. But if you are listening to me and Jess, we are literally a sign that like you can and you will. And it doesn't seem like it in the moment, but she's in there.
And I literally, like, when you said like she's in the smoke and you'll hear, like, you might hear one glimpse of like, don't do it, or no, or like, I'm here. Like, if you actually, oh, hello, Walter. If you actually open yourself up just for that second, just to be like, what was that?
Mhm.
Then you're listening. And I say this all the time, you listen to the nudges,
Mhm.
the little, especially when the smoke and the fog is so heavy. And maybe it's not the feeling of the darkness of suicide. Maybe it's not the feeling that you can't come out of this. Maybe it's just the feeling of lack. Maybe
Mhm.
it's the feeling of self-hate. Like there's all of these things that it can be, that the smoke can be, but it's just looking at, maybe you have like an inspiration that you have, and whatever you see in them, you have in yourself. And
Yep.
that is like the most powerful thing that I have ever experienced. Is like, anytime like I have a mentor, anytime I find them, it's because I see what I desire in myself. Like I literally had a spiritual mentor who changed my world and taught me how to channel from spirit and how to connect deeper with myself. And she's doing ayahuasca every other fucking day. And that shit scares me. But I'm like, you know what? I see a little piece of myself. Like now I'm going to go do an MDMA and mushroom trip in the next few weeks, because why not? Like open yourself up to deep within yourself. There's so much there. It's
Mhm.
just actually seeing it for what it is and just like trying to slow down just for a second,
Mhm.
so you
Yeah.
can hear that, so you can find that why.
Yeah. And for a while, because I had a lot of friends who were into psychedelics,
Mm,
and throughout high school and college, they would always do them. And the one thing that I would always say is,
mhm.
I'm not going to do them because I'm scared of myself.
Literally, Liz,
Yeah.
I'm not kidding you. I did not have an experience with psychedelics until after my spiritual awakening, because I was terrified at who I was going to find inside.
100%.
Holy
I was
shit.
like, I told people, I was like, no, like, you don't understand. Like, if I open this door and the wrong person steps into it,
Yes.
it's over.
Yes.
Like, they're
Literally.
taking over. Like,
Mm.
and I was genuinely scared of myself. And that is such a weird feeling, to be scared of like the thoughts in your brain.
Mhm.
It's a very weird feeling. It's hard to explain. I feel like you have to experience it to really understand that.
Well, and I feel like a lot of people can resonate with that, can
Yeah.
resonate with the thought of, no, I'm not going to do drugs because of what's behind the door. Like, not to out my mom, but hi, mom. Like, she's like, oh, no, I haven't done any of that. Like, that's
Mhm.
terrifying. And I'm like, well, why? Like, is there something underneath that? I mean, there's so many things. If you haven't faced your demons or your fears in sobriety, of course, like when you're scared of them in behind closed doors, holy shit, of course you're going to be scared for what's going to come through when you have to surrender, because there's that point when you're taking psychedelics where, depending on how the dosage is, but there is that point where you have to take a breath and surrender to what the experience is going to be. But sometimes people are like, oh, and they get drawn over to the darkness because they're like, I don't want it, I don't want it, I don't want it. But then they get taken that way.
Yep.
So it's releasing that for them to step in it. I know we're getting on a side tangent
Yep.
versus our stories to psychedelics, but this is just what's going to come in the episodes ahead: spiritual awakening, psychedelic experiences, talking about surrendering, letting go of control, and tapping back into your higher self and into your consciousness, because that's truly, I mean, the journey that you and I have been on that
Mhm.
continues to deepen.
Yeah. Yeah. I think one of like the biggest things that I took out of this like whole spiritual journey that I am still on is I stopped going about it as I'm going to defeat my demons.
Mhm.
And I finally just was like, you know what? I'm laying my armor down and I'm going to see what happens. And you start to realize that these demons are literally just your inner child. They're
Mhm.
just crying for help. Like, they are just as tired, if not more than you are, because they're the versions of you that have literally lived it.
Mhm.
So it's like they're not out to get you. They just need love. They need acknowledgement. They need healing. And it's like we're trying to fight them. We're literally trying to slay them. And that's just not how you find complete like healing and wholeness and fulfillment. You kind of have to learn how to swim with them and like be in the same room with them and listen to them and hear them and be like, I hear you. I got you. I see you. I'm here. Right?
Yes.
Like give them space.
I literally saw this as like when you were describing this, I've been tapping so deep into my intuition. So like my visuals are like so kick ass right now. I literally envision like you have your inner child, you have your inner adolescent, you have your higher self and you, and they're all holding hands around you singing Kumbaya. Like we're all in this together. Let's stop neglecting those parts of ourselves and like bring it in, gang. Let's take a fucking
Bring it
hug
in.
together.
That's so weird because the way that I saw it was like me in like this dark like war zone and me just like dropping the sword. And me just being like, I'm done. I surrender.
I can see you just like, I'm done walking out.
I'm out.
Yes.
I'm done.
Oh my gosh. So good, Liz. Liz, I'm so fucking excited for this. Like you guys here with us. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey. There's so much to come.
Yeah.
Follow us on this podcast. Really open yourself up to receiving what you're going to receive. And if there's anything that you ever want to hear about or learn more, if we drop fire nuggets for you and you're like, I want more, send us a message. You can find me at JBax Mindset. Liz can give her Instagram as well.
Yeah, you can find me at wellnesswith.liz with 2 Z's.
Yeah. And I'll tag everything in our description as well. But we're going to come to you with so much fire, so much content, so much value. And we're just here to serve you and give you our all, because that's all we really know how to give.
Exactly. You're getting it all, baby, whether you like it or not.
All right, friends, we will see you next time on Healing Within with Jess and Liz.
See you
Peace,
guys.
love.